this program is all about sensitization and making you aware about the changes which is taking place in our educational landscape. But unfortunately, again, I am very surprised to see that only 26 participants are there. As a matter of fact, we have around 96 registrations, right? So this is very surprising as well as disappointing, I should say, as a director of MMTC. Right. Anyway, we will start the session definitely. But if you look at the title of the session, or maybe if you look at the title of the program itself, you will find that it is basically orientation and sensitization. So, as a matter of fact, it is expected that the participant should actively participate in all these kind of programs. That is the mandatory condition laid down by UGC. But nonetheless, we will have our session, and in between, definitely, we will have interaction on various aspects of NEP 2020. Having said this, let me start my deliberation. Okay, allow me to share my presentation. I'll be with you for around 3 hours roughly. Okay, we may have a break maybe for 5 to 10 minutes in between. Uh, okay, just for getting refreshed. Okay, and then we will continue for the second session. So as far as these 3 hours are concerned, I have planned it in such a way that is in the first session we will have some theoretical foundation of what should I say, that is the outcome based education, and what is the role of a teacher, particularly in the changing scenario, that is OBE kind of an environment. What are the expectation of the HEIs, right? And your institution, as Ankit has rightly pointed out, you have recently been awarded the status of autonomous, right? So you must be practicing all these aspects. But anyway, since it is the part and parcel of this NEP orientation and sensitization, in the first session, we will have some theoretical foundation of, you can say, the role of ICT, right? So we all know that we are witnessing an era wherein lot of changes are taking place on the technological front, right? So we will just try to have a look at all those aspects, okay, in a greater detail. But before going ahead with those things, okay, I would like to tell you that is being a teacher, okay, we need to make certain changes in our methodology when it comes to teaching, learning, and assessment. So that is what is the bottom line as far as this session is concerned. Okay, let me begin with some fundamental aspect, as I have told you, and then gradually we will move ahead with the various, you can say again, probably in the second session, we will devote the entire session for having some hands-on on various ICT tools, more specifically some tools for teaching, learning, and assessment, right? So wherein we will just try to understand that is how they work, and whether as a teacher we need to adapt to those kind of tools and so on. Now, having said this, let me begin my presentation with some theoretical foundation, as I have told you. Okay, let me start with the presentation. I hope my slides are clear, visible to you. Any one of you just confirm. Hello.
Yes, sir. It just started sharing.
Okay, and let me go to the presentation mode. I hope the slides are visible to you, and the slides are changing, right? Okay. So in between, again, you have all liberty to ask any sort of question, whatever, wherever, because this, as I said, this program is intended for brainstorming on various aspects of NEP 2020. So this outcome-based education is one of the integral part of this NEP 2020. Okay, so as I said, that is, we will have some theoretical foundation in the first session. In the second session, I will take you to various ICT tools, okay, which you can adapt, and you may change your strategy as far as the changing technological development are taking place, right? So this is what is there on the agenda. That is, we will have a pedagogy in higher education. That is, in particular, we will just examine Bloom's taxonomy, its relevance for teaching, learning, and assessment. So there are three components which we will touch upon, and definitely when it comes to looking at certain tools, okay, we will explore tools for teaching, learning, and assessment. Right? Maybe if time permits, we will have some hands-on on some research-oriented tools as well. Right? Now, having said this, this is what is there on the agenda. That is, we will start with these are the learning objective as far as this session is concerned. Okay, we will start with various terms in psychologies of learning and instruction. Okay, some of you may find it a little bit fundamental, but I personally feel that particularly the teachers from professional background, that is engineering colleges and so on, they do not have any edtech kind of uh, background. Okay, definitely they need to understand certain aspects. So that's why I've intentionally kept certain fundamental aspects, and then we will have a look at what are the teaching, what is teaching learning process in general. Okay, what are the factors influencing learning. Okay, then modes of learning, transfer of learning, laws of learning. We will not go into the details because most of the things are quite fundamental and maybe they do not require explanation as well. But we will have a cursory look at all those aspects, and then we'll move to what is there on the agenda. That is, in particular, what is assessment, what are the various tools for assessment, okay, and what is SAMR model. So it is basically a model which is typically used for identifying whether a particular tool is a standard tool or not, right? So whenever you came across any sort of tool, there are nowadays thousands of tools available at your disposal, right? So which tool to use, whether it is standard or not. Okay, so you can very well apply this particular sample criteria, and you can conclude that whether it is standard or not, right? So we'll have a look at all those aspects. Then we will probably I'll offer you tea in between, wherein we will have a look at technology enabled assessment tool. Okay, and then we will examine certain tools, some of the tools which I have listed out here, but we will not restrict ourselves to only these set of tools, but we may go beyond that, right? So only few tools I have, just for the sake of examples, I have kept out on the slides, but definitely we'll have maybe around 10 to 15 tools, okay, which we will examine in the second session. Now, having said this, let me begin with, as I said, that is the various psychologies of learning and instruction. Okay. So, wherein, as a matter of fact, I have jotted down that these are the five aspects normally we came across as a teacher. Okay. So, what is your understanding of all these terminologies? I would love to know definitely from your end, right? I hope all of you are having enough right to unmute yourself, right? So we'll have a look at what is pedagogy, andragogy, teaching, training, and learning. Even though these things sounds quite fundamental, but most of us, because most of us, we are from technological background, we haven't undergone any sort of, you can say, the B.Ed or D.Ed sort of course, right? So we are a little bit ignorant about all this, even though we are doing it on a day-to-day basis. But still, I personally feel that it is essentially needed to build some foundation as far as understanding of outcome-based education aspects are concerned. Right. Now, having said this, let us begin with the very first terminology, rather the uh, term, okay, which is the pedagogy. Now, I would love to hear from you. What is your understanding of pedagogy? You may ask, sir, this is what we do in our day-to-day life, right? Whenever we undertake some teaching assignment, okay, we adopt some or the other pedagogy. But what is it exactly? Okay, let us try to understand it in a greater detail. So I love to hear from you. What is your understanding of pedagogy? What is pedagogy? And then we'll move ahead gradually on the similar line for the other terminologies as well. Right. Now the question is open to all. Any one of you, you can unmute yourself and you can come up with your perception about pedagogy. As I said, that the objective of this particular program is to make you sensitized about various aspects of NEP 2020. And that is why most of the time you must have observed, that is, my intention is not to check your knowledge. My intention is to get you involved in the discussion. And that is the only reason I am posing these questions in front of you. So any one of you, whether you can come ahead with your perception about pedagogy. What is it? Okay, definitely we will have some discussion, but before starting the session, I would love to hear from you. Again, I humbly request any one of you to simply go ahead with their understanding of pedagogy. Yes. What is pedagogy?
Sir, I believe pedagogy is the method that a particular
Okay.
curriculum or a topic is taught to the students.
Okay. It is the method you meant to say. Very correct. Okay. It is the method, or you may say approach. Okay. And anybody else who wish to comment on this? Yes, ma'am, you have rightly pointed out, but there are few more dimensions to it. So, what is it exactly? Nobody else? Okay. Well, as Madam has rightly pointed out, probably Kritika Madam has rightly pointed out that pedagogy is nothing but the method and practice. Okay, method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. So whatever approach you adopt when it comes to engaging some theoretical session in a classroom kind of an environment, that is nothing but the pedagogy. And what is the you can say the underlying principle or the ultimate objective of pedagogy is how best to teach. Okay, so we are all teachers, right? We have our own ways and means to teach a particular concept or a subject, right? I'm not challenging all those things, but right, you because there are, let's say, if you want to teach a particular concept or a theoretical aspect, okay, you may have thousands of approach, so all of them they are correct. Okay, my approach will be different, your approach for teaching the same topic or the same subject may be altogether different, right? But what is the underlying principle? The underlying principle is how best to teach, right? So what do we do normally whenever we go for now it is very specific. Pedagogy is very specific to the method and practice of teaching as an academic subject or theoretical concept. Okay, it is not concerned with any you can say the practical aspects of it. So we restrict ourselves to only the theoretical concept. So whatever approach we adopt whenever we enter for a theory session, okay, it is nothing but the pedagogy. Now my next question is, are there any specific steps one has to follow whenever you adopt some or the other pedagogy? If yes, what are they? I very well remember. Okay, Ankit has pointed out that I have spent around not exactly 4 decades, but it is almost 35 years. I very well remember when I started my career as a teacher. Okay, I was just 21, 1990, 24th July was the date. I still remember. Right. So we have never ever been taught that is how to teach, but we were involved in teaching because those days the criteria was only simply first class B or BTech was enough for getting into a lecturer position in any college, right? So without any sort of you can say formal training in edtech sector, right? We have been asked to enter into this section. Okay, so definitely that's why I've kept all these slides intentionally for discussion. So, are there any specific steps when it comes to following some or the other pedagogy? If yes, what are they? Or there are no specific steps? What is your take on this? Hello.
Sir, there definitely might be steps or procedures involved, but I am currently not aware of them. So if
Okay,
you could
okay,
please.
okay. No issue, ma'am. As a matter of fact, there are five crucial steps. Okay, this is not I am saying. Okay, this is what has been pointed out by Herbert, right? Who has suggested that there are five steps which are crucial component, okay, while adopting some or the other pedagogy. What are those steps? Let us just have a look at all those steps. The very first step is preparation, presentation, then comes the association, generalization, and application. Now, you may allow me to make some bold statement while deliberating on these topics. Okay, being a teacher, this is based on my experiences. Maybe it is not applicable to all. Okay, there are always exceptions, but we as a teacher, we are most of the time, we are very good at preparation and presentation. Okay, we are fantastic when it comes to, you can say, delivering on a particular topic. Okay, so preparation and presentation. Preparation is nothing but gathering the information, maybe preparing some PowerPoint presentation, or maybe let's say if you are using a chalkboard, that is again, you can say, one typical method of explaining certain things. Okay, so or you may go ahead with the PowerPoint presentation right now I'm using, right? So preparation and presentation. Okay, but if you look at the rest of the three steps, okay, most of us we struggle. Now, this is based on my observation. Okay, I'm not claiming that it is all the time correct, but when it comes to association, generalization, and application, okay, we struggle. Okay, because we try to pass on that knowledge as a theoretical concept, that too in a specified way, which has been pointed out, or you can say mentioned in the textbook or the reference book, whatever you are referring to for explaining that particular purpose. Okay, so preparation and presentation, we are most of the time we are very good at, but when it comes to association, generalization, and application, okay, most of us we struggle. Now I will elaborate on these aspects once again. Okay, because it may vary from person to person, but this is what is my observation is. Now, how to improve upon, what are the reasons for it, again we need to brainstorm on all those aspects. Because if you look at, because we teach subject in isolation. That is again my observation. Isolation in a sense, for example, I very well remember, I have studied around 5 7 odd subjects on mathematics itself, being a person from computer science. I very well remember M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, NMCP, and whatnot, right? But if you look at the title itself, that is, those subjects were called as, and still it is there, if I am not wrong. The title of the subject is Applied Mathematics 1, Applied Mathematics 2. But we have been taught by the mathematicians. Okay, and they were. I'm not challenging their capabilities. They were all good teachers, right? Okay, I very well remember famous names like Mujumdar sir, then Tembe sir, and those stalwarts were there. Okay, Deshpande sir was there, right? So they were good in their subjects. But in what way they have taught it? Say for example, Laplace transform or Fourier transform, or maybe any other Z transform, whatever we have learned in M1, M2, M3, M4, right? It was taught in a sense, that is, they were not aware about in what way these things are, as a matter of fact, it is being applied in let's say digital signal processing, or maybe for that purpose in any other computer subjects, because they were all pure mathematicians, so they were well acquainted with that is how to solve this problem, right? But that's why I said कि भाई association. But as a teacher, we need to be very focused on, because these things makes your topic more relevant and more understandable, right? And that's why I said that is association, generalization, and application. These are the three thrust area wherein we need to little bit work hard on all these aspects. Right now, having said this, another term which I have tossed, if you just try to recall, it was andragogy. Any idea about andragogy? Have you heard this term? Second term, just try to recall. Yeah, there it is. It is andragogy. So what is it exactly? What is andragogy? Is it very similar to the pedagogy, or it is altogether different, or what is it exactly? And what is your take on this? What is andragogy? I hope you people are with me. I don't know the number at present, but I hope at least 29, 30 participants are very much there in the session. So, what is your take on andragogy? Have you heard this term?
Sir, I haven't.
Yes, ma'am, please. Kritika, ma'am, please.
I haven't heard of it, sir, yet.
Acha, you haven't heard of it. Okay, no issue. Well, I will elaborate on this. Andragogy is basically when you are dealing with adult learners, the approach you adopt is basically referred to as andragogy, right? So now, in what way it is relevant to the kind of environment we are dealing with? Okay, that one has to understand. So andragogy, as I have told you, and there are two important aspects of it. The very first thing is it is not only dealing with the theoretical aspect, but the practical aspects of it. So it is andragogy is the method and practice of teaching adult learners. Now, what do we understand by adult learners? Okay, they are not small kids. So the kind of input you get in your college, maybe 10 plus 2, okay, they are not small kids. Okay, they are not school going children, right? So you need to treat them little bit differently, and this terminology is altogether it is not at all new. It was very first time tossed by Mr. Alexander Kapp, which was who was sorry, it was coined by a German educator, right? He was a German way back in 1830. Okay, so it is not at all new, but we need to understand as a teacher that is in what way we need to change our approach from teacher to a facilitator of learning. So, what are the expectations of andragogy? Is the expectations are how we can transform an ordinary student to a lifelong learner. Okay, so your job is not only to teach. Again, that is a myth in most of us mind, that is whatever we teach in the classroom, that is the only source of learning. That is again absolutely wrong. Okay, the learning takes place everywhere. Okay, so you need to create a conducive environment in your classroom or laboratory wherever you are dealing with the students. Okay, so as to uh, transform an ordinary student to a lifelong learner, right? So it is basically the humanistic conception of self-directed autonomous learner. Now if you look at this particular concept from the technological perspective, again now we as a teacher we are facing a lot of challenges. Okay, why I'm saying lot of challenges? Because the students are equipped with all those tools. You may not be aware and you may not be using it as a teacher, but the students are using all those tools quite extensively, right? So that's why I'm saying that is you need to change your approach. The very first thing you have to take out from your mind is that you are not the only source of information. There are thousands of sources. Okay, I very well remember when I used to teach way back in 1990, I used to announce in the class, okay, well, please pay attention to my session or lecture, because the topic which I am going to cover, you will hardly find in any book, because those days the books were, if I am not wrong, they were not readily available. Okay, we used to read from the Xerox copies many times. Okay, some most of the books they were out of print, and those kind of issues were there. But let's say if I make a statement in 2025 in my class, anyone will stand up and he or she will say, okay, sir, well, you are talking about operating system concept and design by Parvin Henson. Here is the copy, is the PDF, you can refer to it, right? So what I'm trying to say is we need to change ourselves, okay, from a teacher to a facilitator of learning. So what is the difference between a facilitator of a learning and a teacher? Is you need to create a conducive environment within which the learning takes place, right? Now, having said this, that is we need not have to adopt a pedagogy, rather we need to adopt the andragogy, right, to be more specific, right? And andragogy basically deals with theory as well as the practical aspects of any theoretical concept or the subject you are dealing with, right? Now, having said this, and another term, if you just try to recall, the third terminology was teaching, training, and learning. I would like to once again hear from you, that is how do they differ, whether they are same, whether we can put a slash in between teaching, training, or learning, or they are altogether different. So what is your take on this? What is teaching, what is training, and what is learning? No worries, these are probably the last three questions. Okay, then definitely I'll switch to something wherein I will be interacting and you will be listening, right? All right, so what is your take on teaching, training, and learning? Whether these terms are same or they are different? If they are different, in what way they are different?
Sir, all the three terms are definitely different.
Okay, great.
Teaching would include, that's what I believe. Teaching is making the learner or the
Hmm.
student or anybody you are telling some information that is new to the person
Oh,
and making them understand and remember those is
great,
teaching.
great.
Then training would be to train or training would be guiding a student or a learner in such a way that whatever you are putting an information or a skill to the person,
Mhm.
they must be able to apply those in the daily life or in
Mhm.
their corporate
Great.
culture and everything.
So
And
the
learning is my like ourselves. It will be gaining some new information, remembering it, and using it into wherever we can apply.
okay. Up to some extent, I think you are very damn clear about what is teaching and training. So teaching, I'll put it in simple word. Okay, it is related with you can say the whatever you do in the classroom kind of environment, right? But training is typically of a shorter duration. Okay, let's say if you want to learn how to drive a car, so in case of training, normally we focus on skills. So you will undergo maybe a 2 week or 3 week or 4 week course. You will join some training school for that particular purpose. And once you complete that course, okay, you should be able to perform that activity. Okay, so it is more focused on skill. Okay, but what learning is a little bit different. So we'll have a detailed discussion on these three aspects. Okay, let us begin with what is teaching. It is basically it is defined as an interactive process. Okay, if it is a monologue, then there is no teaching. As a matter of fact, see, the mandatory condition for teaching is you have to have a interaction. Now, interaction between whom? Who are the parties involved in this case? Definitely the teacher and the students. Okay, so which takes place between the teacher and students, and that too it occurs during a definable activities. And what is the output of teaching? The output of teaching is learning. Okay, thereby resulting in learning. What is learning? We'll have a discussion on that later on. But teaching, to be more specific, it is essentially needed. That is, whatever you are teaching, okay, you have to have a dialogue, not monologue. Sorry for the disruptions. Okay, I hope I'm loud and clear. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you, thank you. Okay, there was some power issue at my place. Anyway, so I think I don't know where we have left, but let me begin with sharing my presentation first. Okay, I think yes. So probably I think we have finished with. I hope my slides are visible to you or not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Okay, okay. Let me share it once again. I hope it is visible to you.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, this is probably where we have left. That is teaching. Okay. So again, this requires a little bit discussion. Most of us we feel that it is one of the most easiest job, okay, in the world. That is, or the other way around. If you look at the society's perception, okay, most of the people they feel that teaching is one of the most easiest job, but as a matter of fact, it is one of the most challenging job, because if you look at the qualities that a teacher must possess, okay, so we have defined teaching. Now we are looking at who is a teacher, right? So if you look at a teacher, okay, teaching is not at all easy. Okay, let me be very clear on that. Okay, it is one of the most challenging job in the world, I should say, because if you look at the qualities of a good teacher, uh, three statements are there on your slide. I hope the slides are visible to you, and I am loud and clear. Okay, am I audible? First of all, whether you can hear me? Hello,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
hello. Yes, whether you can hear me? Yes or no? Any one of you just
Yes,
confirm.
sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So if you look at the qualities of a good teacher, okay, you must have a creative proficiency of an artist. If you want to be a good teacher, you must have a precise attitude of a scientist and a perfected skills of a craftsman. Now, I've read out these things quite easily, but they are domain
Excuse
in
me, sir.
themselves. Right? Hello? Yes, yes. Yes, Kritika,
Sir, may I know what slide are you on? Because on our screens it is still the first one, curriculum and
is
pedagogy
it?
in
Is
higher
it? Is it?
education.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Let me. Thanks for informing me. Okay, let me give another try. Probably some issue with the sharing. Okay.
So
Let me.
currently it changed to psychological learning terminologies.
Okay, okay, but it is not in a presentation mode right now. Okay, let me give a try. Okay, whether the slides are changing now.
Yes, yes, sir.
Now the slides are changing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. So probably this is the slide where we have left. That is teaching I was talking about, right? So who is a teacher? So teaching is, as I said, it is one of the most difficult job in the world, I should say, because uh, let's say if you are addressing to 60 odd student, as a matter of fact, you are facing 60 odd challenges in front of you, right? Because there are slow learners, there are fast learners, okay, there are students having different capabilities and whatnot, right? So each individual is different, right? Each individual is different, and what do we do as a teacher? We give them similar kind of a treatment. Okay, and in near future, you will find that the technology will take a lead in this particular aspect. Okay, wherein let's say they will identify your capabilities, and accordingly they will teach you what they call it as a customized kind of environment. Those days are not far away, I should say. In future, you will find a kind of environment wherein you will have customized kind of an environment for depending upon the, you can say, the attitude and the aptitude of the students, their learning capabilities, and other aspects of it, right? So to be very frank, okay, we need to understand that teaching is not at all easy, right? It is one of the most challenging job, right? And that's why it is considered as, if you look at the international scenario as well, it is considered as one of the most respectful job in the world, right? Because your job is not small, right? It is, your responsibility is something like nation building, I should say, right? So teachers can build the nation, and teachers can, the other way around again, that is possible. They can spoil the nation, right? So teaching is not at all easy. Unfortunately, uh, the society's perception and maybe the way in which some of the teachers take it, okay, that makes a little bit, you can say, the wrong impression on the society, that it is one of the most easiest job, but it is one of the most difficult job. Now, having said this, I think we have touched upon what is training, right? So it is an organized activity, and it is more focused on the knowledge or the skills, right? It is more inclined to, what should I say, the practical aspects of it, or skills, right? So, and typically it is of a shorter duration. Now, if you look at, you can use these two terms interchangeably, but ideally you should not, right? They are altogether different. It is of a shorter duration, and it is expected to give immediate results. Now, that's why, now this is the another buzzword which is coming up nowadays. They call it as the skill universities are even taking birth. Okay, you must have heard about Symbiosis Skill University, and on the similar line, there are many, right? So why it is so? Because it is expected to give immediate results. Let's say you undergo maybe a 1 year diploma, or maybe a short-term diploma, and if you are able, or you are capable of handling certain things in a most efficient manner, okay, there are a lot of takers for you, right? So it is expected to give immediate result. And if you look at the historical perspective, it has evolved in World War II. What has happened? Those days, due to the, you can say, the shortage of soldiers, ordinary students, they were trained in using warfare equipments, and they were deployed at the war front. Okay, this is how it has, this particular terminology has evolved. So that is training. The third important aspect, probably this is the last one, okay, where we will conclude the very first component, that is the psychological learning terminologies, is the learning. Now, learning is something which we need to understand in more detail, because when we will be dealing with, you can say, the, oh, yeah. So we will be dealing with the outcome-based education, okay, in the slides to come. So that's why we need to understand this in a little bit more detail. So it is, what is it? It is a permanent change in behavior resulting from reinforced practice. Now, if you just try to understand this in more detail, it is a process as well as a product. Why I'm saying as a process as well as a product? Because let's say when you undergo some sort of training or course, okay, you will be exposed to certain modules, okay, in a typical manner. Or let's say, for the other way around, if the student take admission into your college, okay, he or she will be undergoing maybe 8 semesters, every semester 5 subjects, and so on. And when he or she finishes and he leave your premises, okay, with a smiling face, he is your product, right? Which has to be definitely employable. Okay, if he or she is not employable, then there is something wrong in your setup, right? That you need to correct it. Okay, you need to gather feedback, and that's why we have feedback mechanism and all those aspects. And if you look at the learning, it is the nature or tendency of human being. Okay, so learning is everywhere. Whether you join some institution for that purpose, okay, definitely you learn there, but it is everywhere. Most of the, you can say, the preliminary education, okay, we learn from our parents, okay, we learn from our neighbors. So it is not that you need to take admissions into some college for learning purpose. So it is human tendency, it is nature or tendency of human being. We are learning all the time, and there is no age limit for learning, right? It is the process of mental development. Now, this is important to note, right? Why I'm saying process of mental development, and as a matter of fact, there are three dimensions of it. What are those dimensions? The very first dimension is the cognitive dimension. Second is the affective, and the third one is the psychomotor. These things we will deal with in greater detail in the slides to come. And again, one has to understand that as a teacher, we expect that whenever we are teaching, the learning is taking place, and that too, it is taking place in a positive manner. But it is both positive and negative. Okay. So it is not all the time that we'll talk on one more aspect, that is zero kind of a transfer, right? And but it is individual in nature. Why I'm saying individual in nature, my pace of learning is different, your pace of learning is different, somebody else's pace of learning will be altogether different, right? So it is creative. Learning is creative. Why I'm saying creative? Because it transforms an ordinary student to a critical thinker. And let's say if you have succeeded in that attempt, meaning thereby you have achieved the goals of an education system, right? So how you can transform, what is the ultimate aim of learning? The ultimate aim of learning is to transform an ordinary student to a critical thinker, right? Now, if you have done this, meaning thereby you have achieved your objective, right? So, having said this, we have talked about, you can say, the five psychological learning terminologies. What are they? Pedagogy, andragogy, right? Teaching, learning, and right. So having said this, now if you just try to apply all this into in a holistic manner to any education setup, for that purpose you may take your institution as an example. Okay, so we have inputs. Now what are the inputs to this setup? Is the student or the learner. Okay, and then in between we have got few more blocks, and at the output, what do we have, or rather what do we expect from this system? We must get employable professional, maybe entrepreneur, or or maybe new dimensions which are coming up nowadays, right? I will not talk on those aspects, but in between you have curriculum, achieved outcomes, and so on. Now we do have another input to this kind of a setup, is the intended learning outcome, and that makes the difference. That is nothing but the outcome based education, wherein we jot down the outcome in the beginning itself. Okay, and we just try to, what do? We frame our curriculum to meet all those outcomes which we have identified in the very first steps. Okay, and then we mold, or rather we design, maybe in curriculum again you have courses, and those courses again have n number of COs, POs, graduate attributes, and whatnot, right? And then what do? We just try to map all those COs, POs to the GAs, and then this way we just try to achieve the outcomes, right? So the outcome based education typically deals with certain outcomes which we have identified in the beginning. Okay, and then we just try to achieve those outcomes. So having said, this is a typical holistic diagram of a or a block schematic of a education setup. Okay, typically maybe this you may apply to a university setup, or you may apply it to an institution just like yours, and so on. Right, now having said this, let me take you to another basic concept, what they call it as the basic teaching model. Now, if you look at the basic teaching model, you will find that there are only four fundamental blocks of a basic teaching model. What are they? The very first one is the instructional objectives. Now, if you just try to recall my slide number 2, what is it exactly? It is nothing but the instructional objectives which I have jotted down as far as this session is concerned, right? So instructional objectives, then you have entering behavior. Now what is entering behavior? Let's say this course probably we have started some 8 days back. So what was your perception about this NEP? Okay, if we conduct, let's say, a zero at that test, and then at the end of the, you can say, after all the modules are over, maybe at the end of the uh, this particular course, again we go for a performance assessment. Then what is your improvement from the zero at that test to the, you can say, the after you were exposed to various modules of NEP 20, rather 8 specific modules of NEP 2020. Okay, so in what way you have improved? That is nothing but the performance assessment. Or if you look at from the student's perspective or educational setup, just like your institution or any university setup for that purpose. Okay, instructional objectives are nothing but the outcomes which you have jot down, graduate attributes. Okay, instructional procedure are nothing but the courses. Okay, And then at the end, we have a performance assessment. And in between, if you typically observe this particular diagram, you will find that there it is a fully connected kind of a thing. Why it is so? Because we need to have some kind of feedback mechanism. If it is not so, then definitely we cannot improve upon. Okay. If you have a cascaded kind of an environment wherein you do not have these kind of you can say the loop kind of a structure, definitely you are doing something which you will never know what will happen at the end. It may happen that you have jot down some X uh, outcomes, okay, and whereas the product you are producing is having some Y characteristics, okay. So that's why we need to have these connecting blocks. Feedback at every stage is essentially needed so that you can improve upon if something goes wrong, okay, so you can improve upon that, right. Now, having said this, just try to remember this four blocks, because what we will be looking at in today's session is we will have a look at that is how Bloom's taxonomy in particular can be applied to each of these four fundamental blocks of a basic teaching model. Right. Now, if you just simply go through the bottom line, okay, 1,000 teacher, 1,000 method. What does this indicates? There is no single pedagogy or andragogy which is best for teaching a particular subject. Okay, okay, there may be 1,000. You may come up with 1,001 method. Okay, 1,002, 1,003, and so on. Right. So no single method is good for teaching a particular subject. Right. So you have ways and means to achieve the same objectives, okay, but the objective should remain same, right. Having said this, let us go ahead with now I'll not elaborate on those aspects, that is what is instructional objectives. In the next few slides you'll find all these stuffs is there, okay. I'll share with these slides with you, okay. That is not an issue, okay. You need not have to uh, make some notes, okay, if you feel like, but I'll share with you. So what is it? Instructional objectives should attain. These are the objectives which we have identified. Just I have told you my slide number 2 should attain. Uh, Student should attain upon completion of a segment of instruction. Okay. Entering behavior, it describes the student's level before the instruction begins. Okay, I'll not talk much on that. That is all self-explanatory. Instructional procedure is nothing but the teaching process or the methodology or the andragogy, pedagogy, or whatever. The last block is the performance assessment. So we will be more focusing on the last block, how to apply Bloom's taxonomy, that too with ICT enabled tools for performance assessment. That is again one major area which we will be elaborating in a greater detail. Performance assessment consists of the test and observation. Now there are n number of assessment methods once again, right? All those methods we will just try to digest all of them with the help of some ICT tool as well. Right. Now, having said this, these are some of the factors which affects the learning. Now, most of them, they are self-explanatory, so I will not talk much on those aspects. So there are some personal factors, there are some environmental factors. When it comes to personal factors, okay, you have sensation, perception, fatigue, right? Age and maturation, okay, because age makes the difference. But nowadays it is again becoming an old mantra, I should say, right? Because people are lifelong learners, right? Emotional conditions, needs, interest, motivation, okay, intelligence, right? But the last two are typically important, attitude and aptitude, right? You are from a professional institutional background, you very well know that is how the corporate training, rather the corporate placement activity took place. Okay, normally they do not pick students having 9.0 or 9.5 as a pointer. They pick students between say 7.5 to 8.5, okay, and when you ask them, okay, they come up with a simple answer, okay, well sir, this student, he or she may be really good in terms of technical aspect or the theoretical aspect or maybe practical aspect, but he or she is not a good fit for our organizational culture. What that organizational culture is all about, it is nothing but the aptitude, attitude, right? What is it? He or she is having fantastic knowledge, skills, but he or she is not a good fit when it comes to work in a team, right? or he or she is not good when it comes to communicating with the customer. Okay, so that communication skill, okay, working in a team, okay, that is missing, and that is what this NEP is more focused on. That is how we can incorporate all those factors, right, which affects the learning. Okay, that makes the difference. Then the environmental factors are there, okay, wherein I don't think that any explanation is needed in this case. Maybe surroundings, okay, and that's why it is said that let's say what is so special about IITs and NITs, okay, the environment which makes the difference, right? So having said this, let us move ahead with what are the modes of learning. Again, I will not talk much on all these aspects. So again, we feel that whatever learning takes place, it is within the four wall of the institution. That is again wrong. Learning is everywhere. Learning, you learn by observation, you learn by imitation. Okay, you learn by trial and error. That is how the student learn in the laboratories, right? And learning by insight, which is the highest of any mode of learning, is the learning by insight, when you transform an ordinary student to a lifelong learner or a critical thinker or a creative person, right? Now, having said this, these are the four modes of learning. What are the in what way the transfer of learning? I think up to some extent this aspect I have already touched upon, wherein we have seen that is positive and negative, but there is one more possibility, that is zero. So what is it? To be more specific, positive transfer takes place when the learning of a particular task facilitates the learning of another task. Okay, that is why we have prerequisite and all, right? If the learning of a particular task interferes with the learning of a subsequent task, it is called as the negative transfer. This is highly dangerous, right? Being a teacher, we should avoid this. Okay, even if it is zero, is acceptable up to some extent. So, if a learning of a task makes no difference, it is said to be zero transfer. I have seen teachers making comments in this regard. That is, I will try my level best to confuse you, right? That should not be the case, right? If it is so, then it is highly dangerous kind of an way in which one has to behave in the classroom kind of environment. So transfer of learning, positive, negative, and zeros. But being a teacher, we should be aware about all these things, right? So we should try to always be in the positive quadrant, but there are two more possibility. One is the negative, and the third one is the zero. Right. Having said this, there are the few laws of learning. Again, I will not elaborate on that, but being a teacher, we should be aware about all this. Okay, this is again Thorndike, right? 1898, he has come up with these laws. Readiness, these just teach them when they are ready to listen. If they are not ready to listen, don't try to impose, right? Law of practice, that is doing it again and again. That is what do we do in the laboratory session. Law of effect, the teacher should provide a good condition. This is what I was talking about, right? So even if, let's say, you are successful in creating a conducive environment in your classroom, you have succeeded as a teacher, right? So having said this, what is learning? Now, this is a recap of what we have already seen. What is it? It is the permanent change in behavior resulting from reinforced practice. Okay. So learning refers to the change in behavior that results from previous successful behavior in the similar situation, right? So if one is really learning, one's behavior become more effective and more adaptive. Now we are all human beings, right? We are by default, we are adaptive. We change with respect to the time or the demands of the situation and whatnot, right? The God has given us this particular gift. Okay. So if you are really learning, or if one is really learning, one's behavior becomes more effective and more adaptive than what it used to be before, right? So this is having said this all about learning. Okay, we need to have a look at what are the three dimensions, right? Three dimensions, rather three domains of learning. So there are three domains. I think we had a cursory look at this particular aspect, that is wherein we have talked about cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Now we'll just try to elaborate these terms in a greater detail so as to understand the Bloom's taxonomy or the outcome based education. So what is cognitive? It is nothing but the knowledge and skills. Okay. Now, if you look at the present education setup in our country, or you will be surprised that we give undue importance to the cognitive aspect. look at any component while teaching, while assessing, okay, while framing question papers. Okay, we give undue importance to the cognitive aspect. All the time we test the knowledge and intellectual skills of the students, not more than that. What is affective? It is nothing but the emotion and attitude. This is what I was referring to, right? When we talked about the factors influencing learning, emotions and attitude, they are equally important. Okay, and the third and the most important one is the psychomotor, wherein learning by doing, or what they call it as the experiential learning, or you may give some other name, like that is the motor skill and the ability to coordinate them. So you may be theoretically very good. Okay, now I'll be making some bold statement. Allow me to do so. What is so special about Pune and other metros? Okay, they give more importance to the psychomotor, the practical components, not only in imparting the education, but particularly when it comes to assessment. I very well remember that in our setup, we do not have any F. You must be giving grades. So we do not award any F grade, okay, to a student who is very much present in the practical examination. Rather, we are afraid of failing anybody in the practical one. But if you look at Pune University, okay, they have around 10 to 15% failures in practical. And how do they conduct practical examination? Normally, they invite people from industry. Okay, so they provide them the curricula, ask them to set their own experiments. They come up with their experiment. They ask the student to carry out all those experiments. They themselves check whether the student has executed it or not, and then they award. So there is no interference. But what is there in our environment? I used to come to your institution, you used to come to my institution. So goody goody kind of an environment. Nobody fails, right? Most of the time we give them 23, 24 out of 25. That is again highly dangerous, right? So how serious about we are about this is psychomotor dimension of it, right? That is again equally important. So ideally, I personally feel that we must give them equal weightage. Let's say if you are giving 34% to cognitive domain, okay, 33 should be given to affective and the psychomotor. Right. Now, having said this, let us move ahead with the teaching learning process. Now, we'll be looking at the same process in some different dimensions. Now, if you look at, just try to apply the outcome based kind of a structure over here, you will find that the teaching is on the top and the learning is at the bottom. And in between, you have this cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. So cognitive meaning thereby knowing, understanding, problem solving. Now let's say when it comes to setting up a question paper, as I said, that is we give undue importance, meaning thereby up to 90-95% questions are based on the cognitive aspect. Okay. Affective, values, attitude, interests. There's hardly any questions on that. Psychomotor, again, practical. I have already covered on this particular aspect. That is, how do we conduct our practical examination? Okay, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm talking about in general. Let's say if you want to succeed as an institution, what we need to do. Okay, what changes we need to carry out in the education setup, particularly the examination setup. Okay, that is what is there in the bottom line. Okay, so as I said, this is also referred to as a KSA kind of a structure, wherein you have the cognitive domain, then the psychomotor domain, and the affective domain. K for knowledge, S for skill, and A for attitudes. And all of them, they are equally important. That is the bottom line. Right. Now, who is the man behind this? Okay, if you just try to dig it in greater detail, you will find that this fellow is behind the scene, is none other than Dr. Benjamin Bloom. And he has given this taxonomy, what they call it as the, what is popularly known as the Bloom's taxonomy, way back in 1956. And how it has evolved, this fellow, along with few more his colleague, he was assigned the task to carry out some uh, survey on a group of students or maybe the institutions, okay, wherein they have conducted some survey and they have come up with this beautiful theory, okay, which was later on popularly known as the Bloom's taxonomy. So it is as a matter of fact, it is an instructional theory that categorizes levels of learning. So what they did basically, they have categorized this learning into 6 different levels. Okay, and to your surprise, rather, this tool, this Bloom's taxonomy can be applied. You just try to recall the basic teaching model wherein we have discussed 4 blocks. So this can be applied to block number 1 to block number 4. That is starting from writing down your learning objectives to the assessment. So this Bloom's taxonomy has application to all those 4 building blocks of a basic teaching model. So it is a tool for instructor to assist with the learning outcomes, which is nothing but your slide number 2, as I said, curriculum planning, content delivery, as well as assessment of learning levels. Right, everything from scratch to finish. Okay, from scratch to finish. So when they carried out the survey, they have come up with certain observations, and those observations are equally applicable to our education system as well, right? As I said, this is the another name given to Bloom's taxonomy. What they call it as the taxonomy of learning objectives. That is the alternative name. But what they found during their survey, they found that the 95% of the test questions student encounter require them to think only at the lowest possible level. And what is that lowest level? Is the recall of information. Okay, it is the recall of the information. That is the bottommost level. It is hierarchical. That is the output of one level is given to the input to the next, and so on. Okay, so it is not that is you can directly jump from 1 to 4 or 1 to 3. Okay, you need to go in a hierarchical manner, right? Now, having said this, these are the 6 level of Bloom's taxonomy: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Okay, wherein evaluation at the top and knowledge at the bottom. Now, if you critically look at the question paper of any subject for that purpose, you will find that we do not go beyond level number 3, which is application, most of the time. 99% I tell you. Right. So analysis, synthesis, evaluation is completely missing. And that's why most of the time you must have seen that is whenever NAC people or NBA people they visit your institution, they ask for question papers, and immediately they will come up with their observation. They will ask you, will you justify? We feel that you are working at level number 3. Okay, 4, 5 is completely missing from your evaluation system or the assessment system. What then you need to justify it? So this is how it is, right? Some way or the other. But it is the reality. That is, we do not go beyond the third level. That is the application level most of the time. Okay, again, some bold statement. Allow me to use those kind of statements in between. That is just coming out of the, you can say, the amount of time I have spent in this particular setup. Let's move ahead with the each level, let's say, has a list of action block. How you can identify that is on which level, as a matter of fact, you are working with. Okay, so you can very well do it, rather do it. You can identify it quite easily by simply looking at the action block. Okay, wherein remember is the lowest. Okay, which is definitely dealing with the knowledge. Okay, so these are this slide will give you an insight. That is, let's say, skills. Okay, and then you have definition, recall of information. What are the keywords typically we use when we set the question paper? Identify, describe, name, label, recognize, reproduce, follow, and so on. Okay, have you ever seen that is appraise kind of a keyword in a question paper, or critic? Okay, justify up to some extent it is there, okay, in most of the engineering question papers. But again, we, when it comes to actual assessment, we are ignorant about it, to be very frank, right? Normally we do not look at how the student is justifying. Okay, we rather our energy, we are exhausted when it comes to you can say the answering and looking at the answers from that perspective. Okay, having said this, build. Okay, that's why I said application level, most of the time we just try to achieve that. That is build, make, construct, model, predict, and so on. Now, how to move ahead, that is again, we need to understand how to move from the knowledge level to the highest level, that is the evaluation level. Now, in what way you can use Bloom? You may use it for writing down the learning outcomes. That is slide number 2. You may use it for curriculum mapping. You can use it for assessment or measurement. That's why I said every block you can apply this Bloom's mantra. Okay, so it is a taxonomy which can be applied to any of the basic building block of a teaching model. Okay, right from writing down the learning outcomes to curriculum mapping to the assessment or the measurement of the outcomes. Right. Now, having said this, okay, the another important aspect one has to understand is that is how to write the POs. Okay, as I said, that is when you go for a curriculum planning. Okay, your institution is now an autonomous institution. So how to write POs? Okay, so you may have some common POs for all UG program. Okay, regardless of the faculty, that is again another approach you may adopt. Or you may have POs for PG program. It may vary in accordance with the program and faculty. That is again possible. But before that, you need to identify some graduate attributes. Okay, and whatever COPOs you are designing, it should be in line with those GAs. So what comes first is the GAs. Now, how to jot down the GAs? Again, that is again that requires skills and knowledge. Okay, without that you cannot do it. So graduate attributes, again, you have numerous possibilities here. Let's say disciplinary knowledge, maybe communication skill. I was referring to somewhere the students are good in the theoretical concept but when it comes to, you can say, the communication with the customer, they are normally they do not perform. They are not capable of performing to their fullest extent. So communication skills, that is critical thinking. Let's say if you have designed that is a curriculum wherein you want that the student should become scientists, some of them, so you need to have some research related skills incorporated in your curriculum. Okay, cooperation, teamwork, I was referring. So again, there are this way there are hundreds of attributes, but you have to identify your own specific attributes, and in line with that you need to design the courses, then their COs, POs, and then this mapping should take place. So it is a very scientific method of designing all those COs, POs, and so on. Scientific reasoning, reflective thinking, self-directed learning. Okay, lifelong learner I was referring to. Multicultural competence, moral and technical awareness. Now, if you try to put all of them in a single course, it is simply impossible because you have a limited period of time. You do not have 10 years. Okay, you have got 4 years with you. And that too, you need to do lot many things within that 4 years. Right? That span itself is short span, wherein again it is expected that you should go for internship and whatnot. Right? So leadership readiness, qualities, lifelong learning, and so on. So out of these 10, 20, whatever I have shown you just now, you can take away maybe 5 or 6 depending upon your requirement, and then accordingly you can go ahead with framing your COs, POs, and so on. Right. So there are some sample POs. Okay, I'll not go into the details. Let's say PO1 you have designed as critical thinker, effective communication. So accordingly you need to have your content. Okay, and then you can map it. And definitely you need to, not only that, you need to take it further to the assessment level. Then it will work, otherwise it won't. Right. So sample POs, again, environment sustainability, you may have some self-directed and lifelong learning as PO7. Again, there is no hard-coded rule that you need to have 5 POs or 6 POs. You may have on your own, right? Many times I used to uh, hear from the juniors that they used to say only 6 POs are needed or only 4 POs are needed. There's no thumb rule as far as the number of POs or COs are concerned, right? There's no hard coded rule. You can have your own, right? You can design, you may have your standard at the institutional level. I'm not denying that. Okay, your institution may impose based on their requirement or the philosophy they have adopted, but it is not mandatory to have all the time 6 POs or 7 POs or 4 POs. There's no thumb rule in that regard. Some COPO mapping I have designed, but I will not go into the details of all those things. But what are the characteristics of COs? One has to understand. Okay, so not more than 5 to 6 maximum, maybe one per unit. Let's say if you have designed 6 unit, then maybe 6 that way. If it is coming in that way, then there's no issue. But there is no hard coded rule. So but there are some peculiar characteristics that COs must possess. The very first one is it must be specific, measurable, and achievable. Why I'm saying specific, if it is vague, if the CO itself is vague, then definitely you will not be able to, you yourself will be confused. Then it should be quantifiable, measurable, right? Achievable. Why I'm saying achievable? Because if you have a definite time, you do not have 10 years at your disposal, right? So you have a limited time. So within that stipulated 45 hours or 40 hours or 36 hours, right, which has been allocated to your course, you have to achieve it, right? So that's why it should be specific, measurable, and achievable, right? If it is not, then definitely you will face problem. Okay, then applying the concept again, you need to go in that way. Again, this is a typical example. Again, you may vary, it may vary based on the requirement. Creativity has to be 30 to 40, evaluate 10%, analyze 10%, typically. Okay, apply 30 to 40%. Now you may have, remember, you may ignore it in terms of COs, or you may have some for understanding level 1 or 2. So it all depends how you are dealing with that subject, right? So it is again not, there is no hard coded rules that you have to have 30-40% for creativity, 10% for evaluate, nothing like that. Okay, you can devise your own depending upon the requirement of the course and so on, right? So having said this, structuring the course content, you may use Bloom's taxonomy, you may use it for now. Now let's say if you are working at the bottommost level, that is the knowledge level. Okay, so the difficulty level is the lowest. Okay, you moment you move little bit further, maybe level 1 to level 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, the difficulty level increases. Okay, now definitely the bottom level is the comfort level, right? It is the comfort zone, because we are the difficulty level is lowest, meaning thereby it is the most comfort zone, right, for the teachers as well as the student, right? Now how to move from that level 1 to level 6? Okay, that is what is the bottom line of today's session, right? Now, what has happened? Let me talk on some other aspects of this. That is, over a period of time, one of his student, that is Lauren Anderson, he has come up with what they call it as the revised Bloom's taxonomy, wherein he has made only two changes, two small changes, which are very logical, and that's why it has been accepted by the world community. And it is now it is referred to as the revised Bloom's taxonomy, and this is what normally we adopt in most of the educational setup. So changing the names in the sixth category from noun to verb, okay, that is knowledge to some action verb, okay, which is very logical. And what he did, he suggested that the level fifth and sixth should be interchanged. Okay, and creativity has to be on the top, which is again very logical and obvious. Okay, so these two changes, now the revised Bloom's taxonomy is something like this. That is wherein you have, instead of knowledge, you have remember. Okay, then you have understand, for application you have apply, analysis you have analyze, evaluation you have evaluate, and the creativity you have create. Okay, so two small changes, these two positions, that is 5 and 6, they are interchange. Creativity at the top, evaluation at level number 5, and these things are changed to the action verbs. So remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. This is typically a revised Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, but let's say even if you are working at the bottommost level, that is the knowledge level, again you can experiment very many things. Okay, so there are four dimensions to the knowledge itself. Okay, what are those four dimensions to the knowledge? The very first dimension is the factual knowledge. Okay, wherein you have some basic elements student must know, maybe the definition and so on. Conceptual knowledge is nothing but the interrelationship amongst the basic, right? And the third one is the procedural knowledge, wherein you are dealing with methods of inquiry and the criteria, using skills, algorithm, techniques, and methods. Metacognitive is the highest level, which is knowledge of cognition in general, as well as awareness of knowledge of one's own cognition. So let's say even if you are working at the bottommost level, that is knowledge level, how you can move ahead from the factual knowledge to the metacognitive knowledge, that is again in your own hand, right? So having said this, this is all about the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, one more, if you just try to recall when we talked about the three dimensions of learning, the another domain is the affective domain, which is popularly known as the Krothol's taxonomy of affective domain. We will not talk much on this because it is not possible that this itself require maybe 1 hour's deliberation. But since three dimensions we are talking about, okay, that's why I've included this. So it is given by Krathol, which who was colleague of Dr. Benjamin Bloom, and he has come up with these five you can say the levels of Prothol's taxonomy of affective domain, wherein you have receiving, responding, valuing, organization, and characterization. They are all self-explanatory, right? This, as I said. So you have receiving. Receiving refers to the student's willingness to attend. Many times it happens. You enter into the class and the student says, "No, sir, we are not ready to listen," right? Because they are in some different mood, maybe some festive or some other reasons are there. So you need to accept it, right? So if they are not ready to listen, there is no fun in teaching them at that point of time. Responding, how actively they are participating in the class. Okay, to active participation on the part of the student, valuing how much value they assign or they attach to a particular object. Okay, that's why we talk about value system and so on, right? Organization, bringing together different values, resolving conflicts between them, and so on. And the characterization is the last one. So these are the five level. Okay, five level, that is how the Crothol's taxonomy of affective domain is dealt with. Right. Now, having said this, now let us come to our original topic. Okay, the topic is, as a matter of fact, is that is how to apply Bloom's taxonomy for assessment purpose. Okay, more specifically, that is how to design question papers and how to make use of, you can say, the what should I say, the ICT tools for all these purposes. That is what we'll have a in-depth discussion on all these aspects. Let's say if you are setting a questions of sort MCQ, meaning thereby you are working at Bloom's level 1. So definitely you need to identify at which level you are working so that you can improve upon. Right. If you are asking the student to summarize an article, as a matter of fact, you are working at the Bloom's level 2. Okay. If you are asking a question wherein you are asking the student to analyze a case study, so is definitely you are working at 4. Let's say if you are asking the student to create a spreadsheet for a particular financial year, maybe 24-25, okay, for a particular XYZ person, and you are providing some stuff to him or her, meaning thereby you are working at the highest level, which is the creativity level, right? Creativity level, right? Now, having said this, so you can quite easily achieve that. Okay, it is not at all difficult, but you have to have that will. If that is there, then definitely you can do it. So this is how one can use the Bloom's taxonomy for assessment purpose. But before moving ahead with all those tools, let us try to understand some of the problems, okay, which are faced by, you can say, the assessment in particular in technical education. Now, these are 7, 8 problems, okay, and your institution is, is now an autonomous institution. So you may be facing, rather you will face all these kind of problems, okay, when you put all those things into practice. So, as far as our education system is concerned, particularly in technical education, we give undue focus on certification. Okay, we do not have time. Otherwise, I would have given you some fantastic examples. Okay, wherein by simply missing a simple tele word, okay, the applications are rejected, and it has happened. I myself have seen it. Right. So let's say if your degree is in BTech in electronics and communication, but whereas the recruitment rule says that it has to be electronics and telecommunication, and that tele is missing in your degree, it may be possible that you will not be allowed to appear in that examination, right? So it has happened with one of my colleague. Okay, I will not name him, but it has happened way back in 1993-94. Okay, wherein he didn't got the opportunity to appear in a Maharashtra Public Service Commission interview just because the tele was missing, right? So undue focus on marks. Again, we have a fixed passing criteria. That is again one of the biggest problem as far as our education setup is concerned. Right? If you look at premier institutions like IITs and NIT, the individual teacher is empowered to set his or her own passing criteria. It is not fixed. Whereas in our case, we have a 40 marks fixed criteria, right? So again, there are issues with regard to that, the integrity of teachers and the other issues are there. We'll not talk much on those lines, but it is there. This is one of the problem. Lack of quality feedback. Now the AICT has introduced 360-degree feedback, but as a matter of fact, practically speaking, again, we are reluctant to take feedback from the students or the any other stakeholders, maybe their parents and so on. Lack of assessment of high level outcomes. Now I am referring to the Bloom's level. Okay, so we most of the time we do not go beyond 3. Okay, 4, 5, 6 are completely missing. Lack of assessment of complex outcome, that is again another problem. Negligible assessment in psychomotor and affective domain. Now, this is a bold statement I am making, but all of you will agree with me that the way in which we conduct our practical examination or affective domain kind of thing, okay, we very well know that is how it is, right? So I will not elaborate on that, but we need to correct it. Okay, liberal marking. Okay, this is probably you will face. Okay, you will face. Why I'm saying so? Because when the autonomy is awarded, I have seen. Okay, I'll not name the institution. Most of the time, it is misused. As a matter of fact, there has to be a bell type of a normal distribution, but unfortunately, it is not there. Not more than 10% should pass in A plus. The rest of them should lie either on the left hand side or the right hand side, but unfortunately it is not there. So liberal marking. Okay, what do? We normally throw our burden to the society and let the society decide their fate. That is again absolutely wrong. Okay, whenever the student they are passing with 9.0, all of them, let's say if they are getting 9.0 or 9.5 as the pointer, you need to introspect, right? You need to find out what is wrong and how to correct it. Lack of assessment culture and language of assessment. Now here, what has happened? The UGC has rather the NEP has given you can say some solution to this. Now you can very well write your answers in three. We have a three language formula which has been adopted by the regulating agency. Okay, it is not necessary that you should write in English because it is a foreign language for us. Okay, my mother tongue is Urdu. You are maybe Hindi or Marathi, right? So lack of assessment culture, language of assessment. We have this has given birth. This NEP 2020 has given birth to that three language formula. Okay, wherein the students can attempt answers in maybe English, Hindi, or maybe Marathi, one local language. Okay, that is again is up to some extent it is being addressed by this NEP 2020. Okay, now having said this, what are the solutions? Okay, and what is assessment? Okay, that we will just try to have a look at. So many times we put assessment and evaluation, right? Again, there is a thin demarcation line between these two, right? What is assessment? It is an ongoing process. That's why many times we put continuous in front of it, right? So it is continuous assessment, or many times some institution they call it as the progressive assessment or PA, right? So it is an organized, ongoing process aimed at understanding and improving the students' learning, whereas evaluation is a judgment or determination of quality of performance, product, or use of a process against standard. So whenever you students passed out and they work for some XYZ organization, there, as a matter of fact, they are evaluated, right? So they are evaluated against some standards, and then they come up with this kind of observation that IIT Bombay computer science is best in the world, right? So that is evaluation, right? That is evaluation. That one has to understand. Now, having said this, right, assessment and evaluation. Okay, we need to understand which kind of assessment we should adopt. Again, there are ways and means, and this is where we need to change our approach of assessment. That is how we can incorporate technology enabled assessment. I think I have promised you that I will offer you tea at dot 3:30. Okay, so 3:30 or 3:40, right? This is a tea time. Okay, what we will do, we'll take a break if you allow me. Okay, we'll take a break for 5 to 10 minutes, not more than 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll continue our discussion. But before that, let's say if you have any question in your mind, you can fire it now. Because before taking a break, okay, I would love to hear from you. Okay, so whatever we have seen. Now I realized that my camera was off. I was under the impression that it is on. Anyway, so shall we take a break, or because I need a break for at least 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. But before that, let's say if you would like to have any question with whatever we have covered, okay, I would be happy to reply to your queries. So let me sum up what we did. Basically, we have tried to understand what this entire setup is all about, right? Okay, and now we are moving ahead towards the ICT part of it. Okay, wherein we will have not only some maybe 5 to 10 minutes we'll invest on some theoretical, only 4 to 5 slides are remaining, and then definitely we'll go to some hands-on on some of the tools. Okay, another each category we will examine 5 to 10 tools. Okay, that is what is there on. But before that, just because what will happen, because this information will be erased, right? So I do not want to have that kind of a scenario, and that's why I'm specifically asking that if you have any query, you can fire it now. Good to see that 550 odd participants are there. Anyone of you would like to ask anything, or shall we take a break? Hello.
No questions, sir. We can take a break.
ठीक है, Kritika madam, you are the only, probably you have been shouldered the responsibility to handle the session. Okay. Anyway, no, not an issue. So we'll take a break for approx 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, please don't go away. Okay, I'll join you soon. Okay, so wait in the meeting room itself. Okay.
Sure, sir.
So come back. I hope I'm loud and clear, and my slides are visible to you. Any one of you just confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is probably the slide where we have left. As a matter of fact, that is, I told you, I think, rather I promised you that I will offer you tea. Hopefully, you must have taken your tea now, right? So we'll have a look at what is technology-enabled assessment. So we'll just try to understand what tea is all about, right? T meaning thereby I'm referring to technology-enabled assessment. So what is it? It is basically something which encompasses the use of computers to deliver, mark, assess, and analyze assessments, assignments, assessments, or examination. That is how you can make use of ICT tools for making your life a little bit more comfortable and enjoying, right? So once again, there are various types of assessment, and again, this is a myth with regard to these ICT tools. That is, they are only good for objective type of testing. Okay, wherein you may have multiple choice questions, match the following. Okay, let me check my camera is oh, again it was, yeah. Oh, all right. So yeah, so I think we're talking about technology enabled assessment, right? So earlier it was highly regarded with regard to all these types of tools that they are good for objective type of testing only. But what has happened over a period of time now, all these tools, they have got that capability to even assess the subjective kind of assessment where the faculty intervention is required. That is not only objective, multiple choice, true or false, or match the following sort of thing, but other aspects, that is wherein you require students to key in some theoretical or explain some theoretical concept or write some descriptive answers. So that was missing, but nowadays it is there. I'll demonstrate you while dealing with certain tools. So T can help us in enabling submission of assignment of on time. Okay, maybe anywhere, anytime, and there are ways and means even for detection of plagiarism and so on. Right. So what we will do, we'll have a set of tools. Okay, but before that, we need to understand that what are the various types of assessment. Again, there are n number of types. Okay, the very first one is what they call it as the diagnostic type of assessment, right? So what is it? It is nothing but you can say to exactly understand. Again, we should not use these tools as a tool for penalizing some student. Okay, it is basically a corrective measure. So you need to, many times you need to diagnose what went wrong. Okay, for that purpose you may use some diagnostic assessment tools. There are again a number of tools. Okay, we'll have some of them in our discussion, wherein I will demonstrate you. Formative assessment, summative assessment is there. Okay, so some of the tools you may be using it, okay, in your day-to-day life. Maybe most of you may be using your Google Forms or Google Classroom, and so again, I'm not saying that those tools are not good enough. They are equally good. Okay, but we as a teacher we need to understand that is what we have to see whenever we are picking up or selecting a particular tool. So diagnostic is there, then summative assessment is there, which is typically contributing to the final course grade score and so on. Integrative is there, okay, wherein you may create some integrative activities on digital devices. That is again possible with the help of all these tools. Then having said this, okay, there are tools for different tools for different categories. For example, diagnostic assessment, you may use Google Form, you may use hot potatoes, okay, plickers. Class kick is there for formative, hot potatoes, formative, maybe answer garden is again there. Okay, let's say you want to gather feedback or you want to brainstorm on a particular topic, you may go ahead with answer garden. That is another solution, right? Then summative assessment, again, hot potato is there. Okay, class kick is there for gathering the feedback. Flip grid is there. E-portfolio is there. Project work, laboratory work, again, you have a number of tools and so on. Collaborative learning, maybe Geopardy Labs, e-portfolio, and so on. So having said this, that is some of the tool you may be well acquainted with, like say Google Form. But how to decide whether a tool is a standard tool or not? Okay, so there is a specific criteria, what they call it as the SAMR model, SAMR model. This was developed by Dr. Rubin, and it is a framework for examining how technology is adopted in a classroom. So it is an analytic tool. Okay, each character of this SAMR stands for something or the other. Let's say if your tool satisfied that particular criteria, okay, and if it satisfies all the four characteristics, then you can very well conclude that particular tool is a standard tool. So the very first character is S, which is nothing but the substitution. Okay, let us apply this SAMR model to your Google form and just try to identify whether it is a standard tool or not. So students can fill out the forms online. This facility is
Excuse me,
there.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, please.
Sir, your slide hasn't. Sir,
Oh,
I think you are still on what is T slide, but I think the slide must have moved by now.
my slides are not visible, you mean to say.
No, they were visible, but they are moving very slow. Like after a long period of time, 4 or 5 slides are skipped, and then the thing you're teaching is
Now, which
finished.
one is visible, madam? Which one is visible now?
Right now it is SAMR model.
This is okay, na? So that is what I'm. Anyway, that delay may be due to the network issue, okay? Or what is happening exactly? My picture is overlapping with the slide, or what is it exactly? Hello.
No, the slide itself is like, for example, right till now it was what is T, and when I mentioned you must have moved to the Google page
What
or
I'll
the
do,
Zoom page,
let me
and
give
then it got changed.
another try. I will share my entire screen. Okay, I hope that will work. Okay, let's hope. Let's try this. Okay, my entire screen is visible to you now.
Yes. Uh,
Just check it out. Whether it is visible,
right now it is yes. The desktop is visible.
and it is changing as well. Okay. All right. So what I was talking about, that is SAMR stands for S for substitution. Okay, what I was referring to, that is, let us apply this criteria to your Google form. Okay, so student can fill out the forms online. Yes, this facility is there in your Google form. Okay, substitution it satisfies. That is Google form I am referring to. Augmentation, teachers can curate the students' response on the spreadsheet automatically. Well, this is very much there in case of Google form. Okay. Then the third criteria is modification. M for modification. Teacher, student can collaboratively analyze, contrast, and compare results immediately. Yes, this facility is there in Google form. Redefinitions. Teachers can reach unlimited learners all around the world. Yes, there is no issue as far as the your geographical location is concerned. Okay. So in short, we can conclude that since Google Form satisfies SAMR criteria, okay, it is a standard tool. So one can use it for teaching, learning, and evaluation purposes. Now, having said this, okay, there are various tools. Okay, some of the tools are free and open source, that they are built on FOSS philosophy. Okay, we'll just try to have a look at those tools in the first go. Then gradually we'll move ahead with some other tools. Okay, wherein you may have some beta version in the free form, but let's say if you want to use it in a full-fledged manner, then in that case you need to pay some subscription fee. So because they are all AI based tools. Okay, so we'll just try to have a look at all those tools once again. So the very first tool, as I said, is the hot potatoes. If you can just try to recall in the slide wherein I have jot down all the tools, this particular tool appeared many number of times. Okay, that is hot potatoes. So it is, as a matter of fact, it is a bundle of tools wherein we have got 5 different utilities for different purposes. Say, if you want to set a quiz, so you have J quiz for that, J close for fill in the blanks, J cross for the crossword puzzle, J match for match the following, and J mix for jumbled sentence. And there is one last unit, what they call it as the masher, which one can use for creating one unit. Okay, I'll show you all these aspects. Okay, no worries. Okay, but the idea is, since it is completely free, okay, it is built on FOSS philosophy. We will have a look at this particular tool in greater detail in the first go, and then gradually we'll move ahead with other tools. These are some of the screenshot, but no worries. Okay, we will have a direct demonstration, live demonstration. This is for filling the blanks. This is for crossword. Okay, this one is for match the following. Okay, this is a jumbled word say, exercise using JMix and so on. Now, as far as this particular first session is concerned, what are the two key takeaways? Okay, you need to just identify in which level you are working, what level you are working basically, and how you can move from that level to the highest level, that is the creativity level. Right. Now, having said this, done with the theoretical aspect. A big thank you to one and all. Let me go ahead with some, you can say, the uh, demonstration of certain tools. Okay, but before that, let's say if you have anything in your mind, right, you can fire it now with regard to whatever we have seen just now. I'll pause for a minute, right, just to take a few questions. Okay, or otherwise, what we'll do, we'll have some. What is saying my screen? What is this? All right. So, anybody who wish to ask something with regard to what we have already covered, let me. Okay. I hope my screen is visible to you. All right. Now, let's say if you are already using some tool.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. If you are already using, let me know. Okay, what we'll do, we'll drop that particular tool and we'll go ahead with the next one. Right? There's no issue. Okay, it may be possible that some of the tools you are already using it. Okay, so no worries in that regard. Okay. So hot potatoes, have you heard this tool or whether you are using it or what is it? Whether you are using this tool, say yes or no at least.
No, sir.
All right. So this is a very handy tool as a matter of fact, and as I have told you that this is a freeware. Okay. And the latest version of this tool is Hot Potato 7. Okay. So let's say if you are completely new to this, no need to worry. Simply Google it, Hot Potato 7 download. Okay. Once you Google it, okay, what will the very first link that will appear is Hot Potato 7 homepage. Okay. And let's say if you want to know the URL, it is hotpot.uvic.ca. So as a matter of fact, this is an academic project. Okay. What you need to do is simply click on this Hot Potatoes 7 homepage, right? Go to the download section. There you will find Hot Potato 7.0 installer. Click on that. Okay. Moment you click on that, one small executable file will be downloaded in your download folder. Double click on that, okay, and install it. Okay, I'll not show you, that is because there is no rocket science involved in this case, right? You need to simply, it will ask you some basic question with regard to your name, email ID, and some basic information. Okay, so once you installed it, since I have already installed it on my machine, okay, I'll show you from my machine itself, that is hot potato 7. Yeah, so there it is, hot potato 7. Simply click, uh, open that application, right? The moment you open that application, as I have told you, that this is a bundle of tools. This is not one single tool, as a matter of fact. It is a bundle of tool. Bundle of how many tools? As a matter of fact, 5 different tools for 5 different purposes. And there is a masher on the right hand side. Okay. What is the functionality of this masher? Is to create one unit. Okay, if you have created 5 different exercises using JClose, JMatch, JMix, JCross, and JQuiz, and you want to launch it as one single unit to your student community, you may use Masher. So the functionality of Masher I will demonstrate you at the end. Let us try to begin with some sort of, what should I say, maybe a quiz. Okay, let's say you want to design a quiz. Okay, simply click on JQuiz. Moment you click on JQuiz, something like this will appear on your screen, okay, wherein you may go ahead with creation of quiz. All right. So you may come up with something like, let's say, you may give some title over here. Let's say it is quiz one. Okay. Now, here you may type your question. The beauty of this tool is, as far as the number of questions are concerned, there is no limit. There is no upper limit more specifically. You may have 1,000, 10,000. So over a period of time, you can build a question bank. Right? That is the important part of it. So let's say write down some question in which year, let's say, World Wide Web become publicly available. This is just for the sake of example. Okay. Okay, now if you look at the right hand side, now you have various possibilities here. It is not only MCQ, that is multiple choice. You may have short answer as I was referring to, or you may have a hybrid, or you may have a multi-select kind of a question. Okay, let us, to make it more simple, let us go ahead with this MCQ, wherein you may provide the answers as, let's say, 1995, just for the sake of example, 2000, 2010, 2025, let's say. Let us assume that this 1995 is the correct answer, so you can mark it as the correct answer by simply clicking on this checkbox. It is correct answer, right? So this way you can go ahead with question number 2, question number 3, and so on, right? N number of questions, as I said, right? Now, having done this, this is one simple quiz sort of exercise which you have created. Now you can do a lot many things. By default, the layout of this exercise would be black and white with gray. But let's say if you want to make it in some different color, you can do it quite easily by going to this configuration menu. So you have a question mark, this is for help. Then this, just beside that, you have go to the configuration screen. Moment you click on that, you can do lot many things here. You can assign even a timer. Let's say I want to give the time as 5 minutes for this particular exercise. Okay. Here you may type whatever statement you wish to display when the examination is over. So you may write your time is over by default, or you can write anything else, whatever you feel appropriate. Okay, then click on OK. This is the timer which we have set. Then accordingly, you may change the appearance. As I said, this is the default layout. Okay, you may make certain changes depending upon your requirement. Let's make it maybe blue and black, or maybe blue or let's say red. Okay, something like this. Okay, so you can configure it. What I mean to say is you can configure it. And not only this, but you can configure even the buttons, the URLs, titles, instruction, prompts, feedback, and whatnot. Right? Let us close it. Okay, let us close it. Now I want to launch this as an exercise. Okay, so this down arrow key is basically exit. Okay, and this 7 symbol is basically export to create a hot potato 7. Okay, now it will ask you compulsorily to save it. Okay, let's say I'm overwriting it. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, moment you save it, something like this will appear on your screen. View the exercise in my browser. Okay, let us try to view the exercise, how it will look like and how the student can appear it. Okay, so this is how the exercise will appear. This is the timer which we have set. Let us try to give the right answer as 1995. It will come up with the score. Your score is 100%. You have completed the exercise. All right. So this is the very first utility of this quiz. Repeatedly, I am telling you that this is a free and open source software. Okay, you need not have to pay any single pie to anybody for using this software. Okay, but you can use it on your local machine, right? So this way you can do it. Okay, so this is quiz. Let's say you want to create a crossword. Again, that is not so difficult. Okay, go to this crossword. All right, moment you go to crossword, something like this will appear. See, depending upon the application, the configuration menu and all those things will little bit change, okay, depending upon the requirement. For example, since the crossword requires some grid, to be created. So you can go to this manage grid, and for simplicity, you may go ahead with this automatic grid maker, or you may create your own customizable grid, okay, based on your requirement. So let's try to make a grid with the help of this, okay, wherein you may go ahead with certain stuff like, say, one keyword per statement, like, say, sister, okay, UK, and one more keyword, like, say, trip, sorry, okay. Click on this button, make the grid, okay. You may have maximum grid size as 20, okay, or you can change it as per your need, okay. So make the grid, what it has done, okay. It has created a grid, okay. Now you can add the clues, add clues. You may type clue for this, let's say female sibling, okay. Trip, you may call it as tour, okay. Click on OK. All right. Now, again, configuration menu that I will not show you. The rest of things are as it is because the interface is same. Go to this one. Let's say create it, save it, in the some name. Okay, it will appear. Okay. Now you may attempt it. A female sibling wherein you may type sister, hit enter key, go to this T, then they call it as strip. All right. Right. You may check it 100%, something like that. Right. So this is all about the two utilities which I have shown you just now. On the similar line, you can go ahead with this match the following exercise, then mix, that is jumbled statement exercise, and this J close. Okay. So the interface is more or less same. Okay. You need not have to worry. As a matter of fact, this is match the following. Okay. On left hand side, right hand side, let's say oranges, Nagpur, all those type of stuff you may write here, and you can create it. You can fix the answer by simply clicking on this, checking this particular button, right? So this is with regard to the match. Okay. Then, if you want, I will show you everything. But we are running short of time. Okay, I want to cover more number of tools. Okay, that is why I'm going a little bit fast. Okay, but still, let's say if you want, or if you are doing it parallelly on your PC, okay, then you may ask me to go a little bit slower. Okay, so this is JMix. Okay, wherein main sentence and the optional sentence, and then you can ask the student to arrange those statements in the proper order. Okay, and accordingly you can check it. Okay. Then you have this J close for fill in the blank sort of exercise. So you can create gap using this. You may write the statements here and then create gap and delete gap, clear gap, and so on. Same way, right? So for every small activity, you have a button over here, right? Now, let's say if you have created 5 different exercises using these 5 modules, you want to launch it as one single unit, or you want to club it into one unit, you may do so by simply clicking on this masher. Okay, click on masher. I'll show you the functionality, that is how it works. It will take hardly 1 or 2 minutes, not more than that. So if you want to club all of them in a single file, you can simply click on this button, add files. Okay, now here you can pick up one by one. Now we will be picking randomly. So we may get some random responses, no worries. Okay, the idea is to simply demonstrate. That is how they work. Either you can say okay to all in a single go, or you can go one by one. So let's say okay to all. Okay, then you can see here on the bottom this something like this build unit has appeared. Okay, so click on this build unit. Okay, what it will do, it is now it is combining all those files into a single unit. This warning is appearing just because we have given spaces in the file name. Okay, there is no other reason, but that will not create any problem. Okay. So let's say one by one. Now, would you like to view the unit now? Simply say yes. Okay. So since, as I said, that is since we have picked up randomly all those files, some random response we'll get. But let's say if you do it with utmost care, okay, you will get the appropriate response. Maybe quiz, fill in the blanks, all those type, whatever title you give, that will start appearing here, right? That will start appearing here, right? So this is how this hot potatoes basically works, right? Now, having said this, let us try to work on certain things which are in a completely online mode. Okay. So a very powerful tool which is very similar to this is, as a matter of fact, is the Socrative, right? So have you heard this thing, Socrative? Any idea about Socrative, whether you are using it? If you are, then definitely we'll skip that, right? That is the only reason asking you whether you are using it or not, right? So Socrative is a completely online tool, okay, and there are two logins. Okay, again, for creating your account is not a big deal. Okay, you need to go to this socrative.com, okay, wherein you need to go to this teachers login and students login. As a matter of fact, the student, they need not have to create any account. Being a teacher, you need to share your classroom code with your student community, and they can directly join with that exercise, and they can start appearing the examination, right? So let me show you. I hope my slide is, oh, sorry, my screen is visible to you. Hello, whether you are with
Yes,
me. Yes, yes. Whether my screen is visible to you? Yes or no? Any one of you?
yes, sir, it is.
It is visible. Okay. So this is Socrative. Okay. So if you are a first time user, definitely you need to create an account, or you may sign with your Google account. My advice would be that is, instead of using your regular Gmail ID, it's better to use, rather create a separate Gmail ID, because what happens if you use it your regular email ID, okay, you will be bombarded with a lot of emails, right? Because as I said, the beta version of these tools would be free, but the full-fledged version is a paid version, right? But beta is again is not that weak, I should say, right? So this is my account. I am signing in right now. This is my teacher login. All right. Now the beauty of this tool is, this is whenever you sign in very first time, okay, you will be assigned this room ID. Okay, this is Atik 6972 is my classroom ID, just like Google Classroom ID, right? And this is a Pro, Get Pro, as I said. Okay, right now I'm using a free version with some limited functionality, but again, that is more than enough to begin with. Okay, now let's say I want to launch the exercise. Now, if you look at the bottom here, you will find that again you have facility for creating a quiz, space race, exit, multiple choice, true and false, short answer, and so on. Apart from this, it has got built-in AI functionality. So you name the topic, it will create an assignment for you. Okay, you need to specify the number of question you wanted to have, and it will do it for you. For example, I have created an exercise which is available in my library for NEP 2020. So wherein what I did basically, I've simply given NEP 2020, and it has created 5 question exercise. Okay, that we will launch. So let me launch that exercise. Okay, I have launched that exercise. Okay, now let's say if you wish to appear, okay, for this particular exercise, no worries. Okay, go to simply Socrative, student login. Okay, but since I will be logging in as teacher as well as a student from the same machine, my teacher login will be automatically logged out. So anyway, that doesn't make any problem. Okay, now type the, now it will ask you, moment you type, now the student, as I said, that they need not have to create any account. The only thing is that you need to provide them this your classroom ID code, that is Atik 6972, and simply say join. Moment they click on join, the question will start appearing over there. Okay, you need to give your name as well. Let's say Muhammad Atiq. Okay, let's say today's date is 12th of August 2025. This is only for distinguishing it from the other responses. Now it has created, this exercise has been created by AI functionality. Now it is a mix of short answer and everything, right? So submit answer. Okay, let's say which language policy does the NEP 2020 emphasizes. So we have a three language formula. Let us give the correct answer. Okay, so it is not only saying that it is correct or wrong, it is giving you some explanation as well. Okay, and this is happening in a real mode, okay, wherein you are not providing any kind of rather it is doing it on its own. So let us make this as a false. Okay, as a matter of fact, this is correct. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Okay, so submit the answer. Now it is saying incorrect, and something like this. Okay, so let us attempt all the questions. 5 questions were there. Now we have done with the submission of the exercise. Whenever the teacher will launch the next exercise, the question will start appearing in the students' login. Right. So let us go to teachers login once again. As I said, it will be automatically logged out. Okay, you need to log in once again. Okay, log in once again. Just see how whether the responses are recorded or not. Okay, go to this live button. Okay, live result. Okay, somewhere that Mohammed Atiq and today's date will appear. Yeah, probably here it is, right? It was in capital only, 12th of August. These are the responses, right? Sorry. So you may generate report. Report generation is again possible. You can create rooms. Let's say you are teaching to more than one class. That is again there. Okay, you can discover certain things. Libraries again there. Okay, and so on. But this beta version will provide you at max you can create 5 different exercises in a single go. Let's say if you want to go beyond 5, what you need to do is you need to delete the earlier exercises. That is the limitation as far as this free version is concerned or beta version is concerned. Okay, but once you go for a pro, okay, you will get a lot of functionalities over there. So this is software at you, okay, which has got which is very parallel to your hot potatoes and so on, right? Now this is the second tool. I think I was talking about the one more tool with regard to the answer garden. Let's say you want to gather the feedback in an online mode. You may use this particular tool, which is the answer garden, right? So if you are using it, again, just let me know. Okay. So this is typically, as I said, that it can be used for brainstorming on a particular topic or gathering the feedback and so on. Okay. The entire information is available here. Okay. Let's say you want to create an answer garden. Simply click on this plus sign, create an answer garden. Okay. Here you can give the title. Let's say feedback. Okay. Now these are the various modes in which you can operate this. You may go ahead with this brainstorm or a classroom mode or a moderator mode or a logged mode. Okay, let us go to this classroom kind of a mode. Okay, now the beauty of this is that is you can restrict the answer length to either 20 or 40. Okay, because you are gathering the feedback, so even 40 characters are more than enough. Okay, once you have done that configuration and all, right? There is a button at the bottom. Again, you can make the responses either as lowercase, uppercase, or no change, or any. Right? Then go to this create button. Once you have created, okay, this answer garden has been created. This is the unique number. Let's say you want to give the feedback with regard to this session. Okay, you may type on your browser, simply type this complete URL https answergarden.ch 5018489 and you may type the response here. Okay, let's say I'm typing on my own. So let's say okay. So what you can do then later on, you may go ahead with analyzing this. That okay has appeared here, right? You can even gather the response using the QR code. One unique QR code can be generated. You can moderate it. You can export it. You can share it. You can expand it. Okay, admin and refresh and lot many things are there, right? So I am showing you a glimpse of this particular tool, right? So this can be used for gathering the feedback. right? Answer garden. Okay. Now, apart from this, the Google has come up with a fantastic facility, what they call it as Notebook LM. Whether you are using it, Notebook LM, any idea about it? Whether you are using Notebook LM, say at least yes or no. Whether you are with me, first of all, because the biggest problem with this online is you never know what is happening at the other end. Right? That is one of the biggest challenge. Yeah. So whether you are using Notebook LM, hello, nobody is with
Yes.
me. Yes, using Notebook LM, Kritika ma'am. Whether you are using
Sorry, sir.
Notebook LM.
Actually, my connection was just lost, so I was left out of the meeting and I just joined. Can you please repeat what you said in the last
My
30
my
seconds?
question is pretty simple.
Using what, sir?
Whether you are using Notebook LM as a tool, which is a product of Google. Hello. Whether you are using Notebook LM as a
Yes.
tool, yes or no? Acha, you are using it. So we'll skip that. Right? If you are using it, then no problem. Okay. So on the similar line, we have other tools like say ClassKick. Any idea about ClassKick? ClassKick, whether you are
No,
using
sir.
for no. Okay. All right. So this is again a very fantastic tool. Okay, which one can use for the assessment purpose. Okay. Right. Let me show you on some different. Probably I have signed in on my Google Chrome. Let me try. Yeah. So there it is, ClassKick. Right. This is again very fantastic tool for the assessment purpose. Okay. Again, let's say if you are using it for the very first time, you need to create an account. Okay, once you create an account, or you may sign with your Gmail credentials. Okay, you may go ahead with your Gmail credentials, say continue with Google. Okay, let's give me a try with my ClassKick. Yeah, there it is. So what you can do here, you can create assignments. Okay, you can go ahead with this new assignment. Okay, and so on. So create new under this. Again, you have very many possibilities here. So you can create from a file called as BMP, GIF, JPG, okay, PDF, PNG, and so on. Or you can browse assignment library, or you can create a folder, or even you can import something which is there on your Google Drive directly, right? So these possibilities are there. Then you can assign it to, you can share your assignment to your roster and co-teachers, or maybe uh, the student community. Okay, that you need to do it in a single go. Okay, you can add all their email IDs and so on, and then you can share the assignment with the student community. So this is typically for assignment, right? Assignment creation and getting it solved from the students and assessing them. You may do lot many things here under this. Again, you can view the work, assign, okay, move, duplicate, and delete, and so on. So everything is in case of ClassKick is again on your fingertip. You can do it quite easily. Okay, with the help of this create new functionality, right? Create new functionality. Now, having said this, let me try certain things on what they call it as research front. I hope you will like this, right? So on research front, whether you are using any tool like say Research Rabbit, hello. Let's say you want to carry out literature survey, okay, and you can do it quite easily with the help of what they call it as a Google, right? Search engine. But working with Google is not that easy. Okay, you need to do lot many things in a manual manner. Okay, so if you want to do it little bit fast, you can use this particular tool very effectively. And the name of the tool is Research Rabbit. I hope my screen is visible to you. Why
Yes,
I'm
sir.
asking? Yeah. So Research Rabbit is a tool which one can use. Again, ethically it is correct to use this particular tool. I will justify it. Okay, no worries. Okay. While using AI tools, there are very many issues. Ethical considerations are again there. Okay. But whatever tool I will show you, okay, they are all ethically correct. Okay. There is no any ethical issue arising out of using these kind of tools, right? Because this will save your time and energy. Let's say you want to carry out literature survey, so you can do it through Google, wherein you can sort out certain papers, download them, and again you can go through it and you can read them, and then you can identify the potential authors in working in your domain. Okay, and some key papers which you may use as a base paper for carrying out your research, but that can be done in an automatic manner by using this tool, which is once again a free and open source tool. Okay, researchrabbitapp.com. Okay, this is an open source tool. Okay, for using this tool, again, you need not have to pay a single pie to anybody, because it is built on free and open source philosophy. Right. So this is the layout of this Research Rabbit. Okay, you need to create your account. Okay, or you may sign in with your Gmail credentials. Okay, both way it will work. No worries. Okay. Now this is the layout. Now we'll see how to use it. Okay. Go to this new collection or new category. So you may create new category and new collection by using these two tabs. Okay. And the beauty of this tool is that is again, you may go ahead with importing some papers which you have already stored in a Zotero collection. What is Zotero? I hope Zotero you must be using it. It is a referencing tool. Okay, Zotero is a referencing tool. So if you have some stuff over there, you can directly fetch it as it is using by clicking on this particular button. Say, for example, I have synced around 41 items from my Zotero collection, connected papers. Okay, then 42 items. This is the another collection which I have synced here. Okay, so this way you can capture some data which is already there, or some paper which are already there in your Zotero collection by simply clicking on this button. Let's say if you do not want to do so, you may go ahead with creation of a new collection. Let's say new, simply click on this new collection. Okay, give the title as AI in, let's say, precision, or let's try something else. Let AI in robotics. Right? AI in robotics, right? This is the title which I have given. Okay, so this new title I have created, as you can see here, there are 0 papers at this point of time. Now what we will do, we'll populate this. Okay, so simply click on this 0. Okay, okay, you will find something like this on your right hand side. Go to this add papers, and in the search box, type AI in robotics in, let's say, Indian context. I'm giving some vague, right? So click on this search button. Okay. Moment you click on search button, something like this will appear, wherein it will ask you to either go for, let's say if your context is biomedical and life sciences, you can click on this tab. And let's say if you want to do it in all subject areas, you may go ahead with this all subject area. By default, all subject area is selected, right? But let's say if your context is only biomedical and life sciences, you may click on this tab. Okay, so you will get relevant papers. Now, what is happening is, let's say we'll select all the subject areas. Now, if you critically look at this, okay, it will jot down all those papers. Okay, the very first paper which has come up here is Goel 2025. Okay, wherein the voice of creative search and so on, that is the title. Not only with the title, but it is coming up with the abstract. So you may go through this abstract and you can take a decision on whether it is relevant with regard to the search you are intending for, right? So let's say if you find it relevant, you simply add it to your collection by clicking on this add button, green button. Okay, so add to collection. Okay, so this way you may go ahead with a number of papers. It will go one by one, wherein the abstract would be displayed. You can read the abstract and take a decision on whether it is relevant or not. All right, let's say you, since we are doing it randomly, I am not reading it. Okay, done. So what we have done is we have identified some 6 odd papers in this particular area. Now, if you carefully look at on your right hand side, what has happened is we have added only 6 paper. What it has done is it has identified that there are similar 374 papers. How many? 374. And how many potential authors this system has identified? These authors are 23 and suggested authors are 10. Okay. Now you may click on either on this similar authors, similar work, which is roughly 374, or these authors 23. Okay, or something else. What it will show you, that is, now this is 374 which I have selected, right? 374 work which I have selected. Now it has identified all those 374 papers, their abstract title, everything is coming up here. Okay, along with a diagrammatic representation of all those authors, how they are connected with each other, rather how their work is connected with each other. Not only that, it is taking you further, wherein it has identified around 263 authors and 589 suggested authors, and so on. Now, the beauty of this tool is it is doing lot many things in an automatic manner because it uses AI functionality, right, on its bottom line. So you may define the timeline. Let's say you want to search for last 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. So you can accordingly put this particular filter over there, right? Or you, let's say, if you want to search for some specific authors, okay, and accordingly you want to modify your search. So this way you can go to n number of level. Let's say I am going to this 263. Again, it will take me to some 263 authors, and some suggested authors are 589. Okay. Now you may use this diagram as well. There is no ethical issue of using all these diagram. That is how their work is associated with that. I am showing you only basic functionality of this particular tool. Later on, you can explore it on your own. Okay, you may have certain surveys. Okay, settings are again there. You may donate it because, as I said, this is not owned by anybody. It is a community development which has been built on free and open source software philosophy, right? So this way you can use this particular tool for identifying the real stuff in the area in which you are working, right? So as you can see here, these 374 authors, okay, along with their abstract title, everything is here, right? Everything is here. So it will save your time and energy. It will save your time and energy. I hope this tool will be of some use to you when you do actual research, right? Apart from this, we have few more tools. Few more tools like, say, consensus. Whether you are using this tool, this is the consensus layout. Okay, so this tool is again very powerful, but the problem with this tool is the beta version of this tool is free. Okay, and the pro is paid. Okay, but again, beta is very powerful. Okay, no worries. You may use beta as well for your basic task. Okay, so you have a research hub. This is the home. Let's say my query is AI in education in India. Okay, so what it will do, it will come up with not only with the papers, but along with that certain analytical aspects of it. Okay, and even the citation, all those things will start appearing here. Now, the prompt you may change. Okay, you may type some different prompt here. Okay, this is the prompt which I have given. Okay, you may go ahead with AI in, let's say, robotics. We were trying to search. Let's see what happens. But the problem with this tool is, as I said, beta version is free. Okay? Right now, it will be populated. Okay? It takes some time. Okay, most of the time. Okay? So there are 20 sources which is it has identified: AI in robotics, transforming automation, collaboration, and intelligence. Right. So it has identified certain things. Now you can see all these stuffs. Okay, again, it will most of the time it will provide you the full text of certain papers. Most of the paper, right? Right. That is again the important characteristic of this. Okay, so you may go ahead with all those stuffs. Okay? You may use it based on your requirement. Okay, as I said, that is this is coming up with the complete study snapshot. And not only that, you can even analyze all these papers. That is again very much possible. Okay, but many times certain features you need to upgrade to a paid version. Okay, that is the problem associated with this. Now, let's say if you want to synthesize or analyze certain paper, again, we have got a very good tool, what they call it as illicit. Okay, illicit is there. Okay, elicit.com, illicit. Again, you need to sign with your Gmail credential. Okay. Again, the beta version is free. Many times the pro is again paid. Okay, you need to subscribe for that. But let us look at it how it works. It is, as I said, it is typically used for analysis and synthesis of papers, various papers. So AI in, let us try our prompt, AI in robotics. Okay. So what it did, it has come up with certain papers, 4 to 5 papers in this particular area. Not only with the paper on one column, title and other things are there, but their abstract summary is again appearing on the right hand side. Now this way, what I can do, I can add as many columns, but in the beta version, you will not be allowed to go for more than 4 columns. Okay, if you go for a paid version, you can add n number of columns. So by default, the title along with the summary is there of all those paper which we are trying to search for. In this case, that is 2024 paper, 4 5 papers. Let's say I want to add one more column. I am interested in the main finding of these papers. Okay. So simply click on this main finding. What will happen? One more column would be added here on the right hand side. Okay, which will indicate the main summary of your paper. As you can see here, now it is being populated. Okay, now as you can see here, this is being populated, main findings, right? So all those papers by a single click, I can very well see the analysis methodology part of it. I can copy and paste it. Okay, again, there is no problem as far as this is concerned. Let's say I want to add one more, that is the intervention. Okay, so it will be populated intervention side. Okay, let us try to look at this. Okay, this is intervention. Okay, which is coming up. Okay, for all the papers by simply one single click. Okay, normally this we require whenever we write some paper wherein some comparative analysis is expected of the various papers. Okay, so if you have got all those papers at your disposal, okay, you can very well do it quite easily. But as I said, the free version is not more than 4 columns. But the solution is what you can do, you can delete these columns, okay, and then go on adding. It should not be in a single go more than 4. But you can delete the earlier column and create space for that, and not more than 4 in a single go, right? In a single go. Okay, but you can do it, okay, by doing it again or deleting few of the columns. Okay, so that so this is for illicit is for synthesis and analysis of paper, right? Synthesis and analysis of paper. So research rabbit, okay, consensus and illicit. These are the 3 tools which we have seen on the research front. Okay, right. Then we have few more things, okay, like class kick, I think I have already shown you. Okay, let me show you what they call it as net logo. Whether you are using this tool,
Heard of it, sir, but not used.
okay, I'll show you. It is a very free and open source. I'm actually follower of free and open source philosophy, right? So most of the tool you will find it is completely free and open source, right? So this net logo is basically ccl.northeastern.edu, again educational website. Okay, it is an academic project. Okay, simply click on this net logo homepage. Okay, this you can use it for you can say let's say if you want to explain a subject or a concept which is little bit difficult to explain with the help of a chalk and a board kind of an environment, there you can very well use this net logo. So what is it? It is basically a tool, fantastic tool, wherein there are thousands of model. Okay, let's say I am from computer science. I don't know whether somebody from computer science is there in the session, but let's say if you are from computer science, so you need to go to simply this library. Okay, it is free and open source. The beauty of this tool is you can download the code as well of all these models. Okay, which you can ask your student to modify. Okay, so go to this library. Okay, in library, let's say I used to teach operating system. So we have a typical problem, what they call it as the dining philosophers problem. Right. I'll show you just for the sake of example purpose. Okay, there is no other reason since I am from computer science. That's why I'm showing. But there are models for physics, chemistry, mathematics, arts, and so on. Biology. You name the subject, it is there. Okay. So this dining phosphor problem is typically used for explaining what they call it as the interprocess communication and synchronization problem. The problem is little bit complex. Let me show you the model. Okay, this is just for the sake of example. Okay, so we have a dining table. Philosophers are sitting on those dining table, and we have limited number of forks, and they want to eat some noodles or spaghetti, what they call it as, right? So it is used for explaining how the computing resources are being used and consumed by n number of, or rather how it is being shared by an arbitrary number of processes. So they are all competitor, as a matter of fact. How you can make them cooperating with each other, since they are all philosophers, they are full of egos. They don't know how to communicate with each other because they live in their world, own world, right? So let's say if you are new to this problem, okay, the entire documentation is there. That is what is it, how it works, okay, how to use it, okay, things to notice, things to try, extending the model. Even you can extend it. This is the most important aspect of it. You can download the code, ask your student to modify it, okay, and again you may submit to the netlogo community. If they find it worth considering, they publish it with your credentials and so on. Then how to cite and so on. Since as I've told you that this is built on a FOSS philosophy, but still under FOSS we have various licensing mechanism, right? So that is being displayed here. Now let us try to run this model. Okay. Now there are two ways in which you can run this model. Either you can download the entire source code on your local machine and run it, or you may run it on the NetLogo web. So let us try to run it on a NetLogo web. Okay, because I want to simply demonstrate that how it works. Right. So this is a NetLogo web, right? Now you can even change the speed of the model. Okay, you can make it slow or fast depending upon your requirement. Even you can configure the number of philosophers. By default, it is 20. You can make it 18 or 20 or whatever you feel like by simply dragging on this. Now, this setup will change depending upon the problem, but some parameter will be there, okay, which definitely you can go through the documentation. You can go ahead. Then hungry chance is 0.5 and the full chance is 0.5. You can make it, okay, whether you want to have cooperation amongst them, you can click on this box. Okay, check this particular button and then simply go for running it. Okay, so setup is complete. Okay, now it is showing me all those stuff, right? Right? How many philosophers? 24 philosophers, some fogs in between. Now let us run it. Okay, so simply say go. Moment you say go, it will show you. Now, as I said, you can even slower the speed or you can make it fast. So if you want to explain that is how the forks are being shared amongst these arbitrary number of philosophers, you can very well do that. So student can learn it quite easily. Okay, how the resources, that is in this case spaghetti, is consumed by these philosophers, that is again being depicted here. Okay, then the number of philosophers, that is red indicates hungry. Okay, uh, green indicates eating, and one more color is there probably. I think the blue color or something else. Okay, yeah, blue color, which indicates that the philosophers are thinking. Okay, so their status is again being depicted. How the resources are being allocated, how they are consumed, that is depicted in the form of a graph. Okay, then you have a command center, you have a net logo code, as I was referring to. This is the entire code. You may download it. You can ask your student to recompile it and maybe make certain changes into it. Okay, customize it as per your own requirement. Then command center is there, and then model info is again there. That is what is it, how to use it, and so on. Right. So this is a fantastic utility which you may use it as a complement. Will it change according to what is it? Yes, survey sir. Will it change according to? I'm not able to read your the bottom line. It is being overlapped. Let me check the. Yes, I don't know where we are at this point. Yes, somebody has sent some comment. So there are around, yeah. Respected sir, just a quick note. Your face is becoming a little hard to see on camera. It might be due to the lighting or a virtual background. Okay. Will it change according to problem statement? Yes. Uh, Antaram Survey sir has pointed out. What I'll do, I'll put my photograph on there. Okay, that will solve the problem. Okay. Blur my, adjust my view profile. Stop the camera, let us say. Yeah, I hope now everybody will be comfortable with this, right? So no worries. Okay, that issue has been resolved. Now, will it change according to the problem statement? Yes, it will change according to the problem statement. As I have told you, that is, this is with regard to the dining philosophers. Okay, if you select some different model, let's say, I'll show you that is how it works. Right? Say let's say you go for a net logo wherein now it is again being executed. Okay. Now let us try something which is there in the library. Go for a neural network. Okay. So neural network training, how it takes place, you can very well use it in this particular manner. Okay. Now here the problem definition, according to the problem definition, the model info, it will change. Okay. So setup, as I have told you, that it will change depending upon the kind of problem you are dealing with. So this is the setup right now. You can go for this training. Okay, you may experiment with XOR function or function or whatever you feel appropriate, right? Now this is happening with regard to ANN. So whenever you select some different model, accordingly the parameters will be set, right? I hope it is clear to you, right? Now let us try to move ahead with some more tools. Okay. Any idea about UI path? Any idea about robotic process automation tool, or what they call it as the RPA tool? Whether you are using some of the RPA, or I am taking you a little further. Okay, these cases normally you require what they call it as little bit more knowledge, technically speaking, right? That is, let's say RPA tool is one complete category of tool wherein RPA stands for robotic process automation, right? So this is another set of tool, okay, typically used for any, let's say if you are clear in your mind, that is how to uh, develop a project or a process which you need to automate, any process, okay, you may use this category of tools, okay, wherein robotic stands for an entity which has the capability to mimic human behavior. Okay, process is any sequence of steps, so you should be clear about your sequence of steps, that is how you want to execute that particular process, right? And automation is, that is doing the task without human intervention. So without coding a single line of code, you can automate any damn process, I tell you. That is RPA kind of tool. Under this category, we have 5 different tools, okay, which are very popular, maybe more than that, but these 5 are very popular. The very first one is what they call it as the Blue Prism. Second is the UiPath. Third is the PEGA. Fourth is the Work Fusion, and the fifth one is the Automation Anywhere. Okay, but out of these 5, the only tool which has got some community edition, which is free of cost, is the UiPath, and that's why I'm recommending this to you, right? So you can Google community edition of UiPath in Google. Simply you will get the link. Okay, you can download the entire module. Okay, the URL is uipath.com/community. Get community edition. Okay, you download it, but the problem with this tool is it is a very resource hungry tool, meaning thereby you have to have minimum i7 with some 32 GB or 16 GB of RAM and lot of hard disk space. If it is not so, then you will not be, I'm sorry, you will not be able to use it. But the beauty of this tool is once you download it, okay, you can, without writing a single line of code, you can automate any process. I have installed it on my machine, but the problem is again, my machine is not up to the mark. Okay, so we may face some delays, but you can work on this tool, that is the UiPath. Okay, later on. The other tool is other important tool which I would love to share with you is, most of the time we work on ChatGPT 4. Now 5 has been released. Okay, so ChatGPT 5, once again you may use it, or 4 you may use it, but when you use it in an online mode, your API keys and all those credentials are at stake. So it is vulnerable. My advice is to use a small tool, what they call it as the LM Studio. Again, simply Google it, LM Studio download. This is the tool. This I will show you again, very resource hungry, but not that much as compared to the UiPath. Okay. Now, the beauty of this tool is once you download it on your machine, you can populate with various models of this chat GPT or any AI tool for that purpose, and you can start using it. So the beauty of this tool is once you use it on your local machine, you are not at risk when it comes to sharing your credentials in terms of you can say the API keys and so on, right? So this Gamma 2, okay, and then Llama 3.2, these are the two models which I have downloaded. So I may use any one of them, or and this way I can load n number of model. The only thing I require is I need to have this LM Studio downloaded on my machine. Then I can populate this, okay, with n number of models. Let us try to use this Gamma 3.2. Now this particular model is being loaded here. Now whatever prompt I will type, okay, it will be kept on my local machine. So there is no threat to my, you can say the data privacy and the other concern, right? So this tool is again very important. Okay, so you are all from technical background. Okay, you can use it quite easily. There's no rocket science involved. Okay, but the only thing is that you need to download it once. Okay, and then whatever time prompt you will type, okay, it will be kept on your local machine. So you can use, rather you can have experience of all those popular model on your local machine itself. So this is LM Studio, right? So I think it's almost done. Okay, 457, right? So this is all from my end. Again, I have few more tools with me, but before concluding, let me be very clear on some research forum front. That is, this is my advice. That most of you, I don't know how many of you have got all those ideas, particularly the young teachers, those who are into research. Okay, they must create three different IDs. That is essentially needed. Okay, what are they? The very first one is the ORCID. Okay, if you have not, please make it as early as possible. Okay, the very first one is the ORCID. Second, ORCID stands for ORCID. It is the 16-digit number normally you get on registration. So ORCID ID, you need to register this orchid.org. Okay, you can get it quite easily. Okay, because this is many times needed when you go for quality publication, like say Web of Science and so on. Okay, I'll show you my own. Okay, the idea is not to demonstrate that is how it works. The idea is to simply show you that is how it works, right? Let me compose. This is my ORCID. This is the 16-digit number. Let me show you. Yeah. So there we are. This is my ORCID, 50 or 52. This thing, the beauty of this is you can append your Scopus ID. So the second important ID is the Scopus ID you have to have. Okay, many times we write some different names, so it may be possible that you may have more than one Scopus ID. You can add up all those IDs here. Okay, so this ORCID, and then the second is Scopus. Okay, Scopus you can directly see from here. Okay, this is my Scopus profile, okay, which will appear. Right. So 385, 61 documents and so on. So the Scopus ID is again equally important. So ORCID ID, Scopus ID, and there is one more thing, what they call it as, is the Vidwan ID. This is a Government of India project. If you have not enrolled on this, please create your Vidwan profile. This will give you a good publicity at the national level. Okay, this is my Vidwan profile, right? Again, Vidwan has got all those functionality wherein you may fetch your ORCID, Scopus, and one more researcher ID is needed. Okay, so researcher ID is again, this is for Web of Science. Okay, you can create it uh, quite easily by registering on this Web of Science website. Okay, so this is again needed most of the time. Okay, so this is your this is your what should I say, the Vidwan profile. So this is again, this can be done quite easily with no money involved. Okay, it will give you your own profile in some different manner. The Google Scholar ID is once again there, right? So all done. This is I think dot 5 o'clock. Thank you very much for a patience hearing. But if there are any question, I'll be happy to answer. Hello. I hope you people are with me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So any specific question? If you have any specific question, I'll be happy. Let me use blur my background. Let's hope it. Yeah. So let me sum up. Okay, what we did basically, we started with some basic aspects of teaching, learning, and assessment. Gradually, we have moved towards the Bloom's taxonomy, wherein we have seen that is how one can use Bloom's taxonomy as a tool for teaching, learning, and assessment. Okay, then probably in the second session, we have covered certain ICT tools for various purposes, like say teaching, research, and assessment. Right. So if you have any specific query, you can fire it now.
Sir, I think we should stop because no reply from the participants.
All right, no problem.
Okay, so sir, on behalf of organizers, express my sincere thanks to you for such a wonderful session, and with the kind consent of Professor Atik sir, I would like to declare that this session will be over. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.